On the monument to the people's heroes standing at the heart of Tiananmen Square in Beijing carved a line: "Eternal glory to the people's heroes who laid down their lives in People's War of Liberation and the People's Revolution in the 3 years." The 3 years is a magnificent epic of the unyielding struggle of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLA, in the War of Liberation, recording the Chinese nation's commitment to fight for the country and its people.
为什么中国共产党能够取得人民解放战争的伟大胜利？根源在于军队打胜仗，人民是靠山。在这场战争中，中国共产党仅仅依靠人民群众，获得了排山倒海的力量，结束了国民党的反动统治，建立了崭新的中华人民共和国。
In 1946, just before the war, the Kuomintang had overwhelming advantages not only in the number of troops, but also in weaponry and other things. It was even backed by the United States. So Chiang Kai-shek had full confidence that the CPC would soon be eliminated. But history chose to stand on the seemingly weak side. What was the reason behind that contrast? How did Chiang Kai-shek waste the precious window of opportunity? The oral history told by Zhang Xueliang in his late years gives us the answer. He believed that it is because the CPC conformed to public opinion that it could grow up and thrive. When the Kuomintang military leaders were busy enriching themselves, squeezing the people, and involved in rivalries with different factions of their party, the CPC proposed a slogan: "All the cadres who may go to the countryside for work should go deep to the rural areas." In the eyes of the PLA, their logistics department was composed of ordinary people. As Wang Shuzeng, a military writer, recalled in an interview, when the Huaihai campaign started, an old villager joined the supporting troops. He trundled a wheelbarrow for about 100 miles to transport shells to the PLA. In the rainy days, he would take off his clothes and put them over the shells, in case that they would misfire if getting damped. Finishing the transport task, he didn't rush to come back home before the shells were fired to enemies. At that time, the transport of military goods and materials to the front line largely relied on ordinary people who carry them on their shoulders or backs and by their carts. After the founding of New China, when the commander of Huaihai campaign, Chen Yi, was questioned how they won this battle, he said that it was the ordinary people who trundled wheelbarrows to help them win. Due to years of war, China's economy has been greatly damaged with extremely low agricultural productivity. which needs to be restored and rebuilt to protect the survival interests of farmers. The CPC proposed to tackle the problem related to farmers' land. The CPC Central Committee issued the May 4th instructions on May 4th, 1946, declaring that they would change the policy of reducing rents and interest and distribute the land occupied by landlords to poor farmers. Once the people had land, they would produce food. That would be the basis for their survival. And the people further learned that only the CPC cared for them in the true sense. Later on, in northeastern China, with a population of over 10 million, 400,000 farmers volunteered to join the army led by the CPC, which soon changed the power structure of the battlefield there. The Kuomintang, in contrast, forced young men into conscription. So the morale of the PLA was far higher than the Kuomintang. Gradually, some troops of the latter even surrendered in an organized way. The land reform was not only an economic revolution that boosted national productivity, but also a liberation movement for the Chinese people, thereby enhancing the likelihood for the CPC to seize the ruling power. As the CPC gained a succession of victories in the War of Liberation, new governments had to be established at the newly liberated areas. During this process, the Bin ballot created in the Shanxi, Gansu, Ningxia border region in the anti-Japanese war enabled the local people to be the true masters of the country again. When the American reporter Anna Louise Strom was doing interviews in Yan'an, a model worker surnamed Yan told her, "The biggest difference between the old society and the new one is that there was no election in the old society, but in the new society, everyone can vote. Without democracy, there will be no socialism. Only the real democracy can win people's hearts." While the Kuomintang members were making profits from the disaster and fighting for the ranks after the victory over Japan, the CPC members showed their indifference to wealth and fame and loyalty to their career. In 1955, when Peng Dehuai and Luo Runhuan, among others, heard that they would be awarded the rank of Grand Marshal, they all politely declined the rank. Liu Shaoqi and Zhou Wenlai also refused to accept any ranks. As a senior military officer, Xu Guangda even asked for demotion. With various factors considered, he was still awarded the rank of senior general. But his salary was one level lower and his repeated requests. Xu Liqing, once the general at the regiment level when the War of Liberation started, should have been granted the rank of general. But when Central Military Commission CMC was confirming the commission list, he wrote over 10 letters to the CMC leaders and insisted on demotion. Mao Zedong praised him. "So marvelous. We can tell a person's thoughts and morals from his attitudes towards wealth, status, and honor. It's always been so nice ancient times." In the exhibition hall about the War of Liberation in the Military Museum of Chinese People's Revolution, there are 5 remarkable golden Chinese characters, 人民的胜利, meaning people's victory in English. A relief called people supporting the front line in the whole vividly depicts the scene of the people and the PLA fighting together.
历史可以过去，但不会被人遗忘。中国共产党的历史就是一场为人民奋斗谋幸福的历史。正如中共中央总书记习近平所说，有了民心所向、民欲所归、民力所具， 人民军队就能无往而不胜，无敌于天下。人民军队必须牢记全心全意为人民服务的根本宗旨，任何时候、任何情况下都做人民子弟兵。